So I'll call the meeting to order. Um, First item of business. Lost my agenda. Is approving the minutes of October 23rd, 2025. Is that right? Or should it be
Yep.
November 13th?
Nope, we canceled that meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's been a
So
bit.
October, so October 23rd, 2025. So um, looking for any modifications, edits, updates.
They look good to me.
Looks
Me
good,
too.
everybody.
Me
All
too.
right, you're here. Motion to accept and approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2025.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Farrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbara Yaglowski,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asamato.
Yes.
Sorry, Melinda, I was writing your name, so it came out.
All right. First up here is public hearing, notice of intent, Willow Street, north right of way and south right of way. I'm going to read them both together. We're going to combine them. In accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the South Dakota Wetlands Bylaw, the South Dakota Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, December 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. via virtual Zoom meeting. The commission will consider a notice of intent for the project located within the Willow Street right-of-way north and south for the applicant Southborough DPW. The project description is a replacement of a culvert.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Silva. I work for Park Corporation. We're here representing the DPW of the town of Southborough for this project. I thought Mr. Cundiff was going to be on today, but I guess he's not, so I'll kick things off. The project, like you mentioned, is a replacement of the culverts on Willow Street. I think the agenda had Willow Street North first, so I'll go over that one first. So the town has been having issues with flooding, significant flooding and overtopping of the roadway at this location. It's gotten to a point where there's steel plates on the roadway, and the DPW's had to fill in the embankment several times as it washes out at a few pretty large storms that have come through over the last couple of years. The existing culvert, we're not sure what type it is. It's completely buried. We can see some granite head walls on the upstream side, but the downstream side is totally buried or underwater. So we're not sure the type, but we assume it's probably a corrugated metal pipe, and it rotted out and failed somewhere underneath the roadway, and now it's totally clogged. It's passing some flow through there, but it's basically created a wetland complex and a pond upstream of it. So the proposed structure is going to be a 10-foot precast concrete, three-sided rigid frame. There'll be some concrete retaining walls on the upstream and downstream side, and we are putting a concrete faced MSE wall on if you look at the bottom left corner of the bridge, to help with stabilizing the embankment and not having additional impacts in the wetland area that's just below that. With this 10-foot culvert, I'll go back. So the existing condition, it overtops at a 2-year storm. So that's a pretty frequent storm. And with this new culvert, it'll be able to pass up to a 500-year storm. This design has been in collaboration with the Department of Ecological Restoration. So they gave the town a grant to design and permit these two culverts. So we're designing it to the stream crossing standards to the maximum extent practical. And in this case, we meet those requirements for openness ratio. We took some measurements of the downstream channel area. It was a little difficult to get a bank full width, but we used the downstream area. It seemed to be the most feasible location to get an accurate measurement for that because of the upstream pond. There's really no way to measure a bank full there. So that with that 10 feet, it meets that requirement of the bank full width. Just want to mention that, as I mentioned, DER, funded the design. They did reviews of our design, and currently we're kind of finalizing the design with them. So they're on board with this structure. They're on board with the size of it and the hydraulics that went along with it. So they've evaluated all that. So we're just here to, hopefully, answer any of your questions. I know we, responded to some of those questions today from your peer reviewer. So, we'd be happy to clarify anything else you guys need to on that. So that's kind of a brief overview of the project overall. I'll hand it over to Greg LaCroix, who's our wetland scientist on the project, and he'll go over the impacts of the wetlands and what we're planning to do for restoration on the project.
Thanks, Eric. Again, Greg LaCroix here from Power Corporation. Just giving an overview of the resource area impacts and some mitigation that we're providing for the site. For resource areas on the site, you have an intermittent stream that flows through the channel or through the culvert on either side. On the upgraded side of the culvert, because of it collapsing, it is very flooded out. We did the best we could to delineate the channel under existing conditions. Once the hydrology is restored, we're expecting it to, not be flooded conditions anymore and renaturalize into more of a stream condition. But right now it is more of a ponded area that's dammed up by the collapsed culvert. On either side of the stream, we have BBW. On the page north side, we have the LL series BBW. On the page south side, we have the MM series. Impacts to the wetlands are primarily right around the culvert faces. So let me pull up the environmental impact plan here for you. So I know it's tight, but pretty much what we have are permanent impacts to bank in this case, since there's no land underwater associated with intermittent streams. So permanent impact to bank on the south side and north side of the culvert, and then some permanent impact to BBW where we have to do some embankment stabilization with riprap and scour protection on either side. The permanent impacts to BBW total 24 square feet, for which we're providing 105 square feet of replication, meeting the town's 2-to-1 requirement and the state's 1-to-1 requirement. There are 367 square feet of temporary impacts as well, all of which will be restored following work. That's primarily construction access. Obviously, to complete the culvert replacement, they need to get in there, install the culvert, and things of that nature. So primarily construction access is what the temporary impacts will be. There will be vegetation removal, and we will be seeding it with a native seed mix once the work is finalized. And again, there will be permanent impacts to the intermittent stream, about 431 square feet. On the south side, that will be primarily from stream bed restoration as part of trying to keep the road functional. There was some stones and other material, some stones placed in the roadway to help stabilize it. Some of that has washed out into the stream, so that will all be removed. The stream bed will be restored as part of the project, and that's what we're showing in this area. I guess at this point, I'll jump down to the replication area to show you what we're proposing down there. As Eric mentioned, we have the MSC retaining wall proposed on the page southwest side of the culvert crossing. Against that, by providing that wall, we've given ourselves a little room to propose this replication area. It will be 105 square feet. And because it's so tight with the wall, we didn't propose any trees, but we are restoring with some native shrub species, including common elderberry and high bush blueberry. So there'll be 8 individuals total planted, and then the area will be planted with a native seed mix as well. Again, that exceeds the 2-to-1 requirement for the town. It's actually more like 4-to-1. In addition, we are proposing some native seed mix along the embankments of the roadway to help stabilize those areas. So since submittal, as Eric mentioned, we did receive comments from Lucas Environmental, your peer review consultant. Unfortunately, we were only able to get responses back to the town today. So completely understand the commission has not had time to review those responses or the revised plans. These plans have mostly stayed the same. The only real change is the wetland edge was pulled farther away from the road on this northeast quadrant. It used to pretty much go a straight line from L9, which is right here, to L11. One of Lucas Environmental's comments was that they thought there was kind of a triangle of upland here. We agreed with them after further analysis and pulled that area back. A lot of the other comments had to do with clarifications or providing more data, which we have provided in our responses. But if there's any specific comment that the commission would like to go over while we're here, we're happy to discuss them, but completely understand that you folks have not had time to review everything. So with that, I'll yield back to the commission. We're happy to answer any questions.
So responses were provided today, so I understand we have an opportunity to understand them, see them.
Yeah.
But does the commission members have any other questions at this point with respect to this applicant proposal?
Just curious how long the project will take.
So this particular location, excuse me, this particular location, we're gonna have to phase construction because it's so close to the intersection, and then there's Harvest Lane to the northwest side of the bridge, so there needs to be access there. So this one, it should take one season. I'm guessing it'd be about 9 months from beginning to end, between getting started and then restoration of landscaped areas.
Thank you.
So I had one question about the crossing openness ratio calculation.
Yep.
So you submitted a revised one that brought it down to something like 1.0 something. But that used a length of 37 feet. The narrative seemed to indicate that this crossing is 43 feet. So I'm just wondering which is the
So-
actual width of, the actual length of that culvert.
Let me just check 1 second. I got it right here. So some of those numbers we had in the original were from kind of a preliminary design report. So since then, the designs changed a little bit. Just a second. Yeah, it's about 37 feet. That's more accurate.
Okay, thanks. So the narrative's just a little off. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we can revise that.
And that was a question from the peer review consultant. So we did provide, a revised calculation, and we included a screenshot of that measurement of 37 feet on the plan set.
Can you scroll down so we can see I can see the wetland resource. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, it got small though. Can you blow it up?
Yeah.
Just so I can see that table. Intermittent stream. Okay. So there'll be a permanent impact of 431 square feet.
Yeah, and again, that's mostly that stream bed restoration to the page south side of the culvert in this area right here.
So that purple area will, in the end, turn into a wetland resource?
No, I apologize. No, that will just be restored to stream conditions that match stream conditions downstream. We've evaluated, stream bed material in downstream areas and are using that to determine what this area should be. So that will just be restored to stream bed conditions. Right now, there is some larger cobblestones, almost, or riprap material that have fallen in there from the road maintenance work. those will be removed and the stream bed will be restored.
All right, okay. All right, I understand now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
No.
Consultant?
I guess last thing I forgot to mention is we did get a DEP file number for this project, and we also addressed those comments within our response to comments. You'll see those at the end.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Any comments from the public? Questions? See who's there? All right, well, hearing none, then we'll have to continue to the next hearing. Given that we need to review your remarks and input. Excuse me. So given that, do I hear a motion to continue?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Farrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barber-Iglesky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmano.
Yes. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
They still have the other one.
What do you mean the other one?
We just did north. They still.
I thought we were
they're
doing both
doing
together.
south. Yeah, they just were talking about north though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand that. All right. Let's do south.
All right. All right. So Willow Street South Culvert, that's closer to the side of Route 9 of the roadway. So the south side, southish side of the roadway. So that currently it's two 18-inch pipes that cross under the roadway. One's a corrugated metal pipe, one's a reinforced concrete pipe. They're undersized for the flow that comes through there during storm events. Right now it overtops at a 5-year storm. They're also perched, so there's no way for fish to cross through this without having to jump through the pipe or during like higher flows. So we were looking to put a more natural bottom to the culvert through here. And again, this was also funded through DER, so we designed it trying to meet those stream crossing standards. So we're proposing to put it's about a 9-foot span culvert with the skew. It's like 9'2". And it's again a 3-sided precast concrete culvert. We got some walls on the upstream and downstream side. There's also some drainage that comes into the channel on both sides of the roadway from some catch basins adjacent to and up the road from the culvert. So those will be accommodated within the wing walls that we're adding in. And there's some slope stabilization with some riprap on the edges of the banks near those locations. The proposed culvert, the 9-foot culvert, that again will also be able to pass up to a 500-year storm. So there's been no overtopping during most storm events. Our analysis didn't go any higher than that, so it potentially could be better than that, but we don't know. And else, yeah. Yeah, we're proposing some roadway improvements, adding some guardrail, and using the head walls of the proposed culvert to support the roadway. Currently, it's starting to fail on the upstream side and on the downstream from water flowing through and overtopping the roadway. So I think that kind of covers it for this one. It's this one for as far as construction duration, we're planning on closing the roadway temporarily and using a detour. So this one would probably be 4 to 6 months, depending on how long it takes to get the landscaping done. The roadway closure would be much shorter than that, probably closer to a month to do this project. So yeah, I think that kind of covers the project overall. So I'll hand it back over to Greg to go over the impacts and restorations.
Thanks, Eric. So for this one, we have an intermittent stream as well. The stream flows from the south side of the culvert through it and into the north side. No BVW areas along the north side of the culvert. There is a C-series BVW on the south side. This one also had some revisions to the BVW edge, and they're actually more important for design than the Willow Street North. Mainly in this area, immediately adjacent to the culvert crossing, we had the C series kind of come out from the head wall and generally travel south. As part of Lucas Environmental's review, they indicated that they believe that this area is actually upland based on vegetation, and it being more of a spoil pile from culvert maintenance activities, it appeared like. So, as part of our reflagging in response to comments, I looked into this area and decided that we agreed with Lucas's assessment and that this it does have a preponderance of upland vegetation, and that upland vegetation is dominant throughout the area. The soils are a lot of fill and other material, so it doesn't give you a great indication of whether or not they're hydric. So our assessment was that we agreed with them, and as such, we pulled back the C series line and had it branch off of this S12 flag here and then come around. As a result of that, there are no longer, and I know this is new to the commission, because we literally just submitted our response to comments. So I know this is probably all new to you folks, but we have removed the replication area from the project design because there's no more permanent BVW impacts or actually temporary BVW impacts. So let me scroll down to the environmental impact plan. Okay, so here we have the environmental impact plan. What we're showing is impacts to land underwater, or not land, sorry, bank associated with the intermittent stream on the south side, and then temporary bank impacts, as well as permanent and temporary bank impacts on the north side. As you see here, the Copbush filter stock and limit of work is located upgrading of the BVW at this point, meaning there's no longer any permanent or temporary impacts. So we revised the wetland resource area impact table to state as such what the current condition is, and we had eliminated the replication area design sheet from the project plans. So that's where we stand right now. Obviously, we understand Lucas needs to do another evaluation of our response, and we'll wait to hear back from them. But at this point, again, happy to cede back to the commission and address any initial comments or questions. We did, in fact, receive a DEP file number for this one as well, and those comments have been addressed in our response to comments, in addition to Lucas Environmentals.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments from the commission members?
Just a quick one. I think Lucas had pointed out that a couple trees would have been affected. Is that no longer the case with this?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah, so the replication area was in, if you can see my mouse, this general area previously. We had called out to protect these two trees. We're no longer having any permanent impacts in this area, so those trees will be able to remain through construction.
That's good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Any other from the public? No. Okay. Again, we're going to continue this hearing. So do I hear a motion to continue?
So moved.
A second?
Second?
All in favor?
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton. Is Melinda? Sorry, Melinda, I didn't hear you if you're there.
Looks like she's on mute.
All right. Barbara Yaglowski,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and I see Melinda Upton,
Sorry. Yes.
Pasmato.
Yes. All right, now you can have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, on to newer continued business. So Melissa, we have a request for a COC of 65 School Street, DEP number 290-1105.
Yep. And Joe, I think you're free to go if you want. That was just the only hearing, so you're good for the night.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
thanks, Joe.
Good night,
I had
Joe.
one, by the way. Hi.
Night. Have a good night.
You too.
Yes. So for 65 School Street, they've asked to continue. There are a couple items that I called out that were non-compliant that I'm working with the engineer about. Some are things like stone filter strips that were not installed, and others were some trees that were removed very recently, not during construction, but just kind of a happenstance of between when the as-built was put together and when I went out. So called those to attention. So we're going to work on some restoration plantings, which now would be done in the spring. So working on the other items in the meantime that I called out that need to be updated and addressed, plan-wise, and then working on those plantings come spring. So I'll work on that behind the scenes. And, when we have a proposal for some mitigation, I'll come back to you. But that's kind of where we are for now, so we can take that off the agenda.
Okay.
And then the next two items are mostly just some administrative kind of file cleanup. So the first COC, these are both for Fay School properties. The Mill Street one is for the artificial turf field that Southborough Youth Soccer had proposed a while back that was never constructed. So I haven't on them since they did their addition for their SMP that they came before us. So now we're kind of closing the loop on some of those things. So those two are for invalid COCs since it was never constructed. And then the second one, the 48 Main Street, that's an SMP only. It was for part of their primary project renovations. The commission had previously issued a certificate of compliance for the wetlands order, but for some reason, just the SMP wasn't voted upon. It was reviewed. We do have as-built. I think possibly because this SMP was never recorded, so maybe it just didn't come up at the time. I think SMPs were a little still new, in 2009. So still kind of a process that we're figuring out. So just closing the loop, making sure that, paperwork is filed if it ever needs to come up. So again, Mill Street requesting invalids for both wetlands and SMP, and the 48 Main Street SMP for a complete COC. Since it has been closed out, just a formal motion was not made for the stormwater part.
So will they never build on Mill Street?
That may not be the case, but it will not be this project. It is way expired, so it wouldn't be valid anyways.
All right, so they have to reapply.
Yep.
Okay.
So they have full disclosure, talked to me recently about some renovations that they might do at Mill Street, which is why I kind of reiterated to them again, this was extra important to get out of the way. It wouldn't be the same iteration, it wouldn't be the same place, but this project that is on the agenda, cannot be built, will not be built under these permits.
Okay. So you're looking for the commission to issue an invalid COC for both the order conditions and the stormwater management permit?
For the Mill Street, yes.
Mill Street, yes.
Mhm.
Do we need separate motions or one motion for both?
One motion for both is more than fine.
All right. So do I hear a motion to issue invalid COCs for both the order conditions and SMP for 185, 191 Mill Street, which is DEP number 290-968, and SMP FY 15-02.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Farrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbary Glovesy, you should,
Abstain.
thank you. Smith,
Yes.
Pasmato.
Yes. All right, and then for 48 Main Street, looking for the same thing, an invalid COC be
This
issued.
is actually, sorry, a complete.
No, that's
COC.
for a complete COC for S&P FY 09-03.
So moved?
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbara Yaglowski,
Abstain.
Smith,
Yes.
Passamato.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next is discussion with Ferris Development, replacement of existing septic at 250 Turnpike and pedestrian bridge.
Yes, so they are here. They're just loading in. They had provided us some documentation and requesting kind of like a preference letter to send to the Board of Health. Maybe George or James, I think you'd be better suited to give us an overview if you don't mind.
Sure.
What's a preference letter?
Thank you.
I'll let George or James take that.
Okay, I can't wait to hear.
Sure. Can I share screen?
Yes.
Okay.
While James does that, just for the record, my name is George Bonner on behalf of Ferris Development, and with me, who is about to speak and describe the ask, is James Tatral from from Expedited Engineering. I apologize.
All right. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. We're here before you because at 250 Turnpike Road, I'm going to run the cursor. This is the existing building, which is now a self-storage use. Route 9 out here, and across a wetland here is a lower parking area, which way back in the, I think it's the Cenozoic era of the 1980s, when this was an office building, this parking lot was parking for, all the employees there. And this footbridge was a nice way for them to access it. And it was a way for the septic discharge from this building up here to go through a septic tank and connect to the actual leaching area, which is over here. The line connecting the septic tank to the distribution box is actually slung under this footbridge. It's kind of an extraordinary setup. But right now, the footbridge is in a state of disrepair, and if to the extent that actually the folks at Ferris have put barriers up at both ends to discourage anybody using it. And in addition to that fact, the self-storage building really has so little actual parking need. The parking spaces down here really aren't needed for it. And at some point in the near future, is to be a contractor's yard building on the south end of that lower parking lot. So there are sort of multiple reasons to try and separate the septic for this building from the lower area. And as our lights go back behind me. So we actually tried initially to get sufficient soil tests in the two areas which we thought were possible, which were over in the front of the building over here, where the soils were not acceptable. The perks failed, and off the back right of the building, if you think of this same building, it's on the scale, it'd be somewhere over here. Unfortunately, that was ledge. So we were left at no way to easily separate this self-storage building septic system, and it's a very small flow that it generates, as you might imagine, a self-storage facility, from the septic system down here. We approached the Board of Health and said, through their agent, Mr. Costello, and said, hey, we'd like to just make this a tight tank. We get so little flow, it's about 40 some gallons a day on average. We'd have more than 100 days storage in this existing tank. we'd like to just make this a tight tank and not have to worry about, the footbridge and anything else. And Ferris would have an interest in separating the two lots, the self-storage building and the future contractor's yard building. So we asked, again, the Board of Health, can we do this? It's a little bit of an odd circumstance because mostly people asking for tight tanks are people who are, absolutely forced into it. What Dennis Costello said is that his reading of the regulations is that we are not allowed to do it unless we don't have another option. And that's why we're here in front of the commission, because we wanted to present to you, again, we have on this plan that we sent in option 1, which is disconnecting from the footbridge here, going to the red path, sending a new gravity line through the wetland to a new pump chamber located over here, just outside the 20-foot no work zone, excuse me, and pumping from there to the existing distribution box. That necessarily has a certain amount of alteration, although temporary, and creates a situation where now you've got, sort of 2 tanks not too far from the wetland, and a little bit of risk in that. The second option that we identified was putting a new pump chamber over here on this side of the wetlands, having then installing a pump that goes down across the wetlands, where there would have to be a temporary alteration of 900 and some square feet to do so, and then up to that distribution box. Again, you're creating an alteration, you're adding another sort of complication, not too far from the wetlands, not a huge risk, but some. The third option, which is what Ferris wants to do, is simply cutting the line here, capping the outlet of this structure, making this a tight tank, and things stop there. You would put you'd have something in there to measure and send an alarm if flow got up higher in the tank. But essentially, you would have no work crossing the wetlands, and you would only still have the same 1 tank as exists now. Our discussion with Dennis Costello leads us to believe that the only way we can do this is if the commission either explicitly turns down options 1 and 2, because option 3 in a notice of intent filing, because option 3 exists with no impacts, or our request to the commission is to please, if you would please write a letter to the Board of Health stating that if we came before you with a notice of intent proposing either option 1, the new gravity line, or option 2, a new force main line, that the commission would be inclined to deny them based on the fact that the applicant has an option which involves no alteration whatsoever. And we would like to speak to the Board of Health, to the agent, after, if the commission would write such a letter, and see if that would satisfy him as to showing that we're kind of in a corner here for doing this, and that he would then allow us to do the tight tank solution to this. As I say, we tried to just do a regular septic system first. We tested here, we tested in the back right as you look at the building. It just couldn't, unfortunately, work. We're left at these being the options, and we'd like to exercise the option 3 on this plan, which has really no impacts to the wetlands, but the Board of Health agent says we've got to show that we need to do that other options would not be deemed acceptable before the Board of Health would allow it.
So for option 1 and 2,
Yep.
both of them have a disturbance to the wetland to be able to
Yes.
put the pipes in.
Yeah, and I tried to be fair in calculating what that would be. I think I show 1,400 square feet
Yeah,
of alteration
yeah,
here, the red shade.
yeah. I'm just interested in that
Yep.
you're talking about, digging a trench to the wetland to put the pipes.
Correct.
There is a fourth option, and we've entertained that in town, and it's been directional drilling underneath the wetland. And we have a couple of instances of that in town where you can go from, where your septic is being generated from. You go underneath the wetland and you come up where your leach field is.
I agree. It is a possibility. I think you have a little bit of a elevated chance of encountering ledge in this case, where the soil mapping says this is Chatfield Hollis soils. But you're correct. That is something of an option. Yes.
So, I mean, I'm only one member of the board, but I don't think in all the time I've been on the board, we've approved digging a trench through a wetland to be able to get from a septic tank to a leach field. I might be wrong, but Ben, can you think of any instances of that?
I can't think of an instance where it's happened beforehand. That being said, there's nothing within the Wetlands Protection Act or our wetlands bylaw that prohibits this or makes it unpermittable. I think with appropriate conditions, it could be certainly something that's permittable. In terms of a tight tank, Mr. Tatro, as you pointed out, this is generally the method of last resort. And I wouldn't feel comfortable writing a letter, submitting a letter to the Board of Health saying that it's not possible to do anything other than a tight tank. As Mark points out, directional drilling is absolutely possible. And crossing through the wetland, while not desirable, is permittable, and it could be conditioned to make sure that could happen in a way that where the wetland would be restored afterwards. That's my feeling.
What is the plan for the pedestrian bridge? Because you have that lurking out there in all three of these options.
I think in the end, at some point in the future, I'm not sure when that would be, that is going to happen is that pedestrian bridge is going to get taken down.
So that's going to be some wetland permitting to do that as well, probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And James, I'm just curious real quick, how it almost looks like you have kind of a 10-foot wide area that you say is being impacted for, especially option number 2 for just a 2-inch force main.
Yeah.
How did you, it just seems 949 is a little large for.
I was just thinking of the size of the machine, doing the trenching, and its alteration simply in getting through there. Obviously, you're right that the trench itself is going to be much smaller than that, and the pipe smaller still. I was just thinking of the machines themselves and the havoc that they would rack in the course of moving through.
Okay.
Just a quick question, if I may. The current waste line going over the pedestrian bridge, is it simply insulated, or is it wrapped in heat trace, or?
I think it's insulated, Ben.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, we weren't asking that the commission say that any particular any of the options is impossible. I think all we were hoping is that the commission would say, look, if we have an option that has no impacts, we're not going to approve you choosing to do one with impacts.
Yeah, at least for me, we've got precedent that we set in town that I feel uncomfortable with, saying, hey, there's no option here. The only thing is a tight tank, and that's all you can do, and writing a letter to the Board of Health to that extent. I just don't feel comfortable doing that. I mean, I think, between a directional drilling option and or your option 2, which appears to be the least invasive, would be preferable, in my opinion. And also, if you're going to be taking down the pedestrian bridge, maybe doing that in concert with this would be interesting.
Mark brings up a great point. Following the same alignment and presumably using swamp mats and so forth as you're disassembling the bridge, I think that any disturbance to the wetland would be localized to what would already be disturbed, removing the bridge, and the waistline could be put in without adding to any disturbance. Just the thought. I haven't spent a lot of time considering it, but it occurs to me that may be the case.
Sure. I was just on option number 2. The path there chosen is just the one to have to be the most direct, and in the alteration of the path itself for that having the least footprint. But you're right. If they were done at the same time, you could sort of have the 2 for 1.
Is there an option to repair the bridge and leave the pipe in place too?
It's a 40-some-year-old bridge, which actually little pieces of have already been falling off. And the action of the amount of work necessary to repair it would really be probably about the same as simply building a new bridge at this point. So I think those are sort of really the options, are having no bridge or a new bridge rather than being able to repair this one.
I did see they painted it to match the building. So I'm wondering why they wasted that effort to take it apart.
It was able to bear the weight of additional paint.
It's a nice bright yellow.
All right. Well, I think I understand from your expressions of sentiment that you'd like to see if the applicant could pursue the option of a directional drilling to do this with hopefully no alteration of wetland and
well that and or option 2 possibly in conjunction with taking the bridge down if that's in your plans. Excuse me.
Okay.
I think, at least from my opinion, and I think Ben thought that there was a merit to that as well.
I agree with Mark.
Okay.
Well, it's a storage facility. You remove the bathrooms. I suppose that's an option too. But
well, they still have people there at the front desk at least part of the day. So you've got to give them, some facilities to use.
Yeah, porta potties in the winter are tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions from the members of the board here? Okay. I don't see anybody else in attendance here, Melissa.
Me neither.
Okay.
Okay. I thank you guys for your time. We're just going to have to put a little more thought into this and decide how to go from here. But I thank you all very much and wish you Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You as well.
You too.
All right. Next, Melissa, is 5 McNeil Drive, clearing of vegetation on DCR property.
Yes, so this is a follow-up from previous meetings. This is just something I had noticed. They had done some clearing behind this property. So myself and members from DCR went out there. The homeowner has since put together kind of a sketch plan for restoration, mostly putting down a native seed mix. And currently he just kind of proposed some blueberry shrubs along the banking. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I apologize. And so just wanted to get a general consensus. If the commission seemed, my thought when looking at it was I think it could do with a little bit of variety of different shrubs. He was just kind of presenting high bush blueberry, but I think at least one other species would be good to kind of offset, kind of just one long strip of blueberries for kind of a array of vegetation that was removed. I kept going back and forth about possibly putting or having them required to put shrubs within the, I'll say open area that's within their backyard. And the more I thought about it, DCR didn't necessarily have a preference, but because it is DCR property, and DCR wants to limit the amount that this area is maintained. Ultimately, their goal is to have it come back and just revegetate naturally and be a naturalized area. Is I don't necessarily want to create an instance in which this property owner has to continuously, for the next couple years, go out into the open area and, essentially baby these kind of shrubs throughout the property. I think if they're more in one contained area along that ridge, which is adjacent to the wetland, at least it's all in the same place. There's a little less pressure from invasives on there, or at least it's contained. Where in the bigger open area, I think it could come at a couple different angles, and I think the overall success and end goal would be better suited for them just along that little, berm or ridge line along the wetland. So I didn't know if the commission had any thoughts or concerns about that kind of approach, since I was kind of volleying back and forth, but it's kind of where I've come to land right now, is at least have a variation of different species, which the homeowner is fine with. He just likes blueberries, so he proposed blueberries along that berm versus kind of some spattered within the open area. It does have a good seed bank. It's already growing back. I don't have an issue about stuff coming back. So, and neither did DCR.
Melissa, I took a drive by. I think your recommendation to have the berm replanted is sounds right, given the amount of change that happened. I don't know if we have a better chance of having a good outcome if you mix the species or if you just put one thing. So I would just ask, in your experience with establishing plants in an area like this that's been basically denuded, what's going to be the best opportunity to have a successful outcome?
I think in this circumstance, there were some invasives, but it wasn't a heavy pressure of what's growing back. So I think the variety is more just, for a benefit of what could possibly spread in the future versus, what could maybe, thrive better immediately. So I think that was more my thought. Like, I think the high bush, if we just put high bush blueberries there, nothing would be wrong with that. I think in my mind, it was, if we could have at least one or two different varieties, at least there's a better chance that maybe those diversity spreads a little bit further, even into the open area on its own.
Well, from my perspective, it sounds like a good recommendation, Melissa, that would also help it look a little more natural.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree also, Melissa. Even if we got maybe some input from Joe on some alternative species, witch hazel, arrowwood, I don't know, the ones that we just seem to see from time to time. I don't know what inhabits that area particularly, but Joe could probably help us out.
Yep, absolutely. Me too. Okay, great. So I'll move forward with that. In the meantime, they are just I don't know if he's put it down yet, but he was going to, so it can overwinter, but just that native New England wetland, native mix to put down just on the open area just to help. But even last, we were out there, it was already starting to sprig up even with this weather. So I think we'll be fine with what it's, and it was stable. Nothing was moving. So that's always the immediate concern. So it's been good progress.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we also have the 2026 meeting dates. I can bring them up if we want to look at them real quick, just to make sure that there's nothing obvious that you guys see in terms of dates that might be problematic. So think of school vacation. We weirdly almost missed, I think, all of the regular holidays, except for one on Columbus Day. So when I was looking at it, I was surprised at how well it came together. So hopefully I didn't miss anything, but this is kind of what it was looking like.
Meeting dates, let's see.
Yeah, I can zoom in a little bit too, if that helps. If I press the right button. So this column here.
Ooh, 9/17 is my anniversary. That's not gonna be good.
Oh,
I'll be in the doghouse there.
all right, so Mark's out on that one. Oh no, mine's in there too. Okay.
You got one too, Melissa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
February. So February 19 falls within February vacation, and I will be gone for that.
Okay. It does. For some reason, I thought it was the week after.
I'll be around for that.
Okay. I can check with Liz
So wait a
too.
second. Never mind. Sorry.
Is it good?
I think I'll miss 8/6. I found out today that my grandson got selected to a club team to go to Cooperstown to play baseball that week.
Ooh.
So now we're rejiggering all of our summer schedules so we can go. So, so 8/6 and 9/17 will be a problem for me. But other than that, it doesn't look too bad from my perspective.
All right, so maybe for now we'll keep as is. I'll check with Liz too on this date.
Yeah,
no
she has school-age kids too, so they'll
Yeah.
be on vacation. I don't know if they're going anywhere.
Yeah, so if no one else here tonight has an issue on 2/19.
What about vacation time in April? Is 4/23 a week too? Seems like it might be.
April vacation is the 20th through the 24th.
Yeah, so 4/23 is a problem.
Oh, didn't even see that. Yeah.
No.
I am likely to be around on the 23rd. We don't have any kind of getaway plan, so at this point, I will probably be here.
Okay.
Me as well. I don't think we have anything planned.
Okay.
Oh, I do have something in March though. I forgot about that. When is that? I'll have to check on the 12th.
Okay. Sounds good. I can try and figure out a way to maybe send these out. Would it be helpful to like send these out as a calendar invite for the year?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay. Let me do that. Calendar. I don't know why I never did that before. That would make a whole heck of a sense. All right. And then that way you guys can add it to your calendars, and if something comes up, you can let me know.
Yeah. Like the glitch I had a couple meetings ago where it wasn't on my calendar and I had agreed to have the grandkids sleep over all by myself. Oh, and one of them is in diapers.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Can't leave him alone.
Okay.
He's
All right.
Spidey Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go off that for now, and then we'll adjust as needed. All right, so the other fun order of business is the FY27 budget, because somehow we are already back in budget season. So
So
I
you need to put your mileage in.
I know, I do.
Right.
I'm starting now.
Yeah, and I don't know what the IRS allows now, but it's a 54 cents or 60 cents or
Yeah.
whatever it is, but you need to do that.
It's a it's a good amount. I know. Even Laura yells at me. So, yes. So, essentially as every year is, but this year seems more so. The fiscal projection looks dire. So the direction that we received was we could use the FY25 actual amounts and couldn't go higher for our request. But I did in some columns. So the salaries come from the steps and the COLA that Personnel Board has approved. So those have been set. For our regular budget, I wanted to keep the training as we requested last FY. As you can see, we have been, using more of our training. I think this year we had to put it down lower for some reason. Now that we do have Laura full time, we have an allowance to attend more trainings as well. I've been doing a lot of floodplain management aspects, trying to keep up that and get that certification. I took out advertising costs. That's if we need to post a legal ad. Sometimes we need it, sometimes we don't. So I did put that to 0 because we do technically have options from our local or wetland funds that we could use that if needed. And I don't have anything that I know of projected, for the future. Obviously things come up, but that one was okay. That was also only $200, so it wasn't a huge loss. I am very forceful in keeping our stewardship line item budget at 35,000. We've fought very hard the last 7-8 years to get this where it was. I think it was 12,000 when I started. So to be able to get it up this high, and clearly we've used that. It's not that it gets returned. And we also have to think about now the dump area that needs to be maintained moving forward. Obviously the restoration activities are covered, but as it becomes part of the property in perpetuity, there are costs associated with that. So I'm very, very strongly putting that as our baseline, keeping it even as what it was last year or this current year. But
Well, one
not
could argue
going-
it should be higher, but
I would argue, I would always
keeping it the
argue that.
same
Yeah, keep it the
is
same.
a discount.
Yes, exactly.
Melissa,
you
can
know,
you just clarify what
Sure.
what it is, the cost? Just if people asked
For
us.
this line item,
When they're maintaining the conservation land and the extra costs, is it the mowing or is it something else that's happening?
yeah. So this line item for stewardship, this pays for both Breakneck Hill Conservation Land, and Town Forest. It also pays for when we have Sudbury Valley trustees come out to do CR monitoring on Chestnut Hill Farm, yearly. And if we, need them for like illegal, or when we ask SVT an opinion on something, it can come out of this item. This doesn't cover the trail mowing because a couple years ago I somehow finagled DPW to take that over for the trail mowing, so that was a huge discount to us. But this does cover now the yearly mowing, or the annual field mowing that they do rotations of. It's been the roadside meadow that they have been working on and they have their plan for. It's general invasive removal. That's the ongoing project at Breakneck Hill. It is their, when trees come down, they had a lot of the apple trees that they had to prune that they, have been trying to save periodically throughout the year. We had to put up a new kiosk. That stuff
It's a
has
great
been
list.
done.
I
Yeah, it's a
it's
host
many
of
things.
things.
I
Yeah,
just was curious.
it adds up very quickly. We helped do like the shed. We had to replace the shed. Or we did replace the shed last year, the year before. So we split that between community gardens and stewardship. So community gardens is self-pays itself, so that's always separate. Like water bill gets paid out of that revolving fund and plot fees. But the rest of the money gets for the ongoing maintenance of Breakneck Hill. And a lot of it is invasive and trees. It's unbelievable how much goes on behind the scenes, that the committee does, truly, with the limited amount of resources that they have. So that's usually what that covers. And then we don't have a recording secretary anymore because Laura's stuck with us as staff. Downed office supplies to 500. We need stuff when we need stuff. I do have a field iPad now, so I don't see any new like tech stuff that's coming up that I think I would need. This is that mileage reimbursement that I will do, I promise. Dues and membership. So this pays our MACC dues. I'm part of the Mass Association of Floodplain Managers and the national one as well as part of our stormwater bylaw. And also the Mass Conservation Professionals group. So our MACC dues go up every year, so this is in tandem with that, and we'll cover, all of that aspect. I did want to keep the 210 for recording. This is if we need to record anything at the Registry of Deeds. I know we will at least be recording one document. That's 105 a document, so this is only for 2. We'd most likely be recording the COC for the dump. So, if we need to, we could dump it down by $105, but
Right.
it's $105.
That's, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So I kept it at 210. So even though the guidance was to submit the FY25 actuals, I'm highly recommending we submit this budget. And I will put together a memo when I submit, basically outlining exactly what I just said, so that we have backup evidence.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
Why are they asking you to put in the FY 2025 actual when the 2026 budget is different? I mean, why wouldn't they ask for 2027 to be the same as 2026?
I don't know.
Am I understanding something
No,
wrong here?
honestly, that's what I thought it was telling us when I first read it, but then reading again, it was they wanted the actuals.
So we're in FY 2026 now, which will end in June 30th,
Correct.
right? And the budget that they approved is where your cursor is,
Correct.
right? And do they think somehow we're going to spend to the 2025 level? That's
I think
naive.
that's their hope is that, this is what you actually spend. You're asking more than you spend. This is what you actually spend, but things do fluctuate, obviously.
Well, the salaries from 2025 to 2026 changed significantly, right?
Yep, because we had the Laura added.
Exactly. Yeah. So she was added. So you can't go back to 2025. It's not possible.
Yep. So, and that'll be part of the memo is like, like for employee training. Well, we do have an additional staff member that I would like to continue to be able to
Yeah,
train.
but when we're talking about $1,000 or $105, when you have a budget of 173, that's dust on the floor. It's meaningless.
I would like to agree.
Those are rounding errors, honestly. I mean, so I don't have any problem with this budget that you're going to submit at all. I would have a problem if you were going to submit the FY 2025 one.
Yeah. I mean, well, with the FY 2025 one, we literally could not afford the salary line item, which that's not something we can change. It's
Exactly. The state has a Wetlands Protection Act that this commission has to uphold, and there's administration that goes along with it. And if the state's going to eliminate the Wetlands Protection Act, well, then we can eliminate those line items, but that's never going to happen. We all know that. So it is what it is. It's only going to get more restrictive, not less, over years.
To me, this is a responsible budget, and as you proposed it, Melissa, and it sounds like you have a narrative you're going to be submitting to defend why you're submitting it the way you plan to submit it.
Melinda said it very, very well.
Yeah.
Better than I did.
Thank you, guys. Yes, I took my $300 that I ended up finding that I could get rid of, and I got rid of it. Perfect. So I will submit
In the
this.
corporate world that I work, this is where I bang my shoe on the table.
I know the
I'm
downside
not
of
giving
Zoom
any money
meetings-
up. I'm not doing it.
There's no gavel in Zoom meetings, is there? Or should I get you one for home, Mark? All right. So I will get this submitted. Just want to make sure you guys are comfortable for it. And, I hope that in the event that we get pulled into a table to discuss the budget, you guys would be supportive and wanting to, discuss the reasons why with me. So wanted to make you aware of me going against suggestion / requirement of this year.
Would you
Well, I mean,
vote to,
Yeah, I think that would be great if you guys don't mind voting.
I can make a motion to support Melissa's proposed budget?
and I'll second it.
I'll
All right.
third it.
Farrington,
Yes?
Upton,
Yes.
Barbary Glusky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmanov.
Yes.
Love that. Okay. And I'll send out the memo once I have it done, just so you guys have a record of it as well. I do it every year. I think it's important just to, so other boards who are looking at this also know what we do, because I don't think they do. Not all of them. All right, so just quickly, a quick update on some open active sites. 21 Southwell, this is for a deck in the sunroom, so the deck's being completed. They're putting in the footings for the sunroom. 12 Wood Street, this was the house renovation. Discussing plantings, they did ask for a slight change in the front steps, just to add some, not retaining walls, but some grading to keep the sides from eroding from the front steps. So I talked through them with that, and then talking about where the plantings need to go as per the conditions and what type of plantings. And then 150 Corderville, they are in front of the ZBA for Laura, I'm sorry if I butcher this. I think it's a special permit for a battery energy storage system. It's a smaller system in front of the building of 150 Corderville. It's the building to the left of the Stony Brook Market Plaza, Duncan's. The permit is for multiple uses on one lot, since it has an existing building, and this is an energy storage system. When I was looking at the plans, they called the area to the right of where the proposal is. They called it a proposed or what they believe to be a stormwater management system, but that is a jurisdictional wetland. You know, I have site plans going back from when the project or the building was built that called it a wetland. When the market next door went in, called it a wetland. You know, when the solar went in at 147 Corderville, that called it, or 146 in the back, that called it a wetland. And they, you know, were right up against the edge of it, so they're definitely within the 20-foot. So I sent a memo to ZBA, you know, which gets to the applicant, kind of outlining these, saying that there's also an open order on the property as well. But, you know, looking at it on paper, this does not meet the wetland bylaw requirements or conditions, since it is in the 20-foot no touch. So, you know, we'll see where that goes if, you know, they haven't gotten any response or anything like that, nor do I expect to because they're just in ZBA, but wanted to make sure you're aware that I put that out there. National Grid pole replacement. This is on the DCR right of way. The big structures they're putting in. They have begun vegetation clearing this week, and access prep. And then next week, the foundation crews are going to start going in. So they're basically, foundation crews come in a week behind of the vegetation crews. And the vegetation crew continues to move down the line, and the foundation crews follow behind them. So they'll continue to work sequentially through the end of next year. That's, I think, all of it. It's been, I hate to jinx it, very quiet on the application side, almost too quiet. It's a little scary on all fronts. But there has been a lot of, you know, just kind of small projects, inspections. So going out and doing those, but nothing really big happening. You know, no big fires to put out as of now. And then at, you know, Breakneck Hill, still working on an RFP for the impacted meadow. I think when I originally talked to Stewardship, I was going to have an RFP put together for someone to create a plan for plantings and plant, but I think they now want to source the plants. So it's just having someone, you know, install them. So I just want to make sure it's someone who would be qualified and understanding of what the requirements would be and the sensitivity to the area. So still working on that. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for the office. You know, I think our building commissioner had started the last time we met, so things have settled down in our little crazy world down on Corderville Hall. So it's nice to kind of get back on track and get back on the even keel of conservation land things. So we're just moving forward, but everything, yeah, that's where we are. I don't know what else to say.
So our next meeting is the 25th.
We don't have another meeting until January 8th, guys.
I saw that, yeah.
January 8th. I don't know what you're gonna do for so long without me, but you know where to find me if you need a fix. I feel like I haven't physically seen so many of you in so very long, so
Melissa, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
We talked, we had presentations and I'm just wondering where the project to do sidewalks along Woodland Road and Richards Road is. Is that in another town committee or is it moving forward or?
I don't know.
I just haven't seen any action and I just wondered if it was going to happen.
I also heard that they were going to put sidewalks on Parkerville South between where they end at the Mass Pike overpass and head north. There's no sidewalks north of the Mass Pike overpass. Yet I see that there's some stakes in the ground on the east side of Parkerville Road.
Okay.
And on Parkerville South, but on the east side.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. I can definitely ask Bill Cundiff. I think Laura's
can tell you
incident-
that the sidewalk that goes from Finn School down to Southville Road. I don't know why the people don't walk in it. They walk in the street. You know, it drives me crazy. Why don't they use a sidewalk? But they don't.
I encountered that the other day as well. I think for Woodland and Richards, Melinda, they're trying to secure funding in a contractor. Or Laura. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
But yes, yeah, I can ask about the Parkerville one though. That looks okay. Anything else you guys want me to follow up on? Oh, I don't think I've updated you on that.
There is one thing I wanted to bring up.
Yes.
You mentioned the Andrea restaurant and the building next door being torn down.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And the fences are up, but I don't see any straw wattles or anything between the fence and the the intermittent stream between the house there. Still.
Yeah. Yeah.
And come Monday, the ground's gonna be concrete.
So I found it funny that they're like, when I called them, like, oh, we're gonna get out there tomorrow, we're gonna do it. I was like, okay, great. So that was a Friday. They said they were gonna do it. It came back the next week, and they had put straw wattles on the site everywhere, but in the back along the stream. And I was like, I don't understand. And I also had put out to them that at the time they still hadn't ripped up the pavement. And I said, if you're going to rip up the pavement, then you have to put in the stabilized construction entrance. Then they ripped up the pavement. And so I followed up again the next day and said, you ripped up the pavement. There's no construction entrance. There's track out onto Parkerville now. And the contractor said, I was never given a copy of the order of conditions and it's not in my contract. Let me work on it now that I have the plans. So I think there's a little battle between who owns it and who they hired, because the word on the street is that they're no longer going to do, and again, just word on the street, nothing official. They're no longer going to do the car condo concept that they have approved, but potentially Carnova next door is going to purchase it and use it to extend their parking lot. So I think that's why they finally demolished it, because the owner of Carnova has called me and said, well, I wouldn't need to do anything, right? And I said, no, because it's still an extension. You've already disturbed your over an acre by just clearing it. So you still need to do something. And if the plan is changed, then you need to get the plan changed. So it's something that I'm still following up on. But yeah, they had put them everywhere, but not in the back.
Yeah. So I noticed that, and also I also heard that the car condo thing was not going to be built. And I'm waiting to see Carnova park cars in their roof because they have no more room.
Yeah.
I mean, they're parking, in their shrubs and their lawn. They're everywhere. Anyways.
Yeah. So I'll follow up again with the contractor tomorrow. Thankfully there's enough that seemed like, I did walk that back section as much as I could because they did cut pretty close. It was a little difficult. I didn't get the whole length. But there's enough of, where they cut down, there's enough of an elevation change where nothing seemed to have eroded over. So that was good. And the weather has helped, but it's still.
Yeah, there is some puddling that's going on the site now. So
okay.
It's kind of behind where the dump truck's parked.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I
there's
told
like
them also.
a puddle about the size of a 12 by 12 room kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, because I reminded them that they needed to keep their equipment out, and they had a porta potty back there too that they had to get out, at least out of the buffer, because it was right on the edge.
Yeah, I'm sure the dump truck's in the buffer.
Yeah, I
What
think
about the
it's
excavator?
They took at least one machine off
Yeah.
last I went, but Yeah, there's been like that random interesting. People amaze me sometimes. That's all I'll say. So
Well, you know, there's the saying, right? Common sense is not common.
yeah, yeah. I wish, but
So, all right.
and just
That's the only
while
thing I
I
want to
still
bring up.
remember, no, thank you. We had the violation. I think while I was on leave, this started the violation on Corderville, the two, was it 69? Where the homeowner had cleared a certain area. He was going to do some agricultural, um, oh my God, not
Oh, the guy
aquaculture.
from Vietnam that was going to build a rice paddy
Yeah.
or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is he the one who
Um,
refused to let us go inspect?
Yes.
Yes. So he has been very communicative, and has been he did a lot of work, in studying every time it rained and measuring the elevations and providing the evidence. He mapped out a plan. There's very much an obvious break, where the river comes, and it doesn't pond enough to have that quarter-acre foot, for isolated land subject to flooding. So where he has disturbed, does appear to be non-jurisdictional, not in the 100-foot buffer zone of that, probably, I think it was almost 180 feet away, from the closest point that could be. So I wanted to make sure the commission was aware too that he has been, keeping me informed. He gave me a report of like where the soil came from that he had imported, things like that. So, I've been at least satisfied, with what he has provided. I think that's, looking at it, kind of matches, I think, what, I would have expected kind of seeing it. So, just wanted to make sure that that loop was closed with you guys too, so it wasn't just sitting out there.
Yeah,
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's great to hear. And also, I would say this is justification for another line item on the budget for us to get a Conservation Commission drone. So when things like this come up, and, Melissa, you can go out and pilot a drone and
I'd be a menace. I like being a
I
menace.
just want to say I'm glad that he's been working with you. I felt like there was a lot of misunderstanding on his part, not knowing the rules.
Yeah.
I don't think he was trying to get away with anything. I think he had a vision and
Absolutely.
a dream, and I'm glad that you're working with him to make sure that everything is appropriate as it should be.
Yep. No, it's phenomenal the amount of, I think, self-research that he did to try and make sure that he was following. He read the delineation manual, and he went step by step, like his justification, because he does have the background, in botany and, I don't know if it was soil science kind of, equivalent, but, so I felt very comfortable with his self-analysis as well, for what he put, because he gave me pictures and, endless information that, just backed up what he was saying, and definitely was coming from a place of just wanting to understand and provide all the information and, do it in a sense that he felt secure and comfortable. So absolutely.
That's good. Very good.
All right. I think I've rambled enough. I think I've
Okay.
closed it.
Anything else for tonight? Well, then happy holidays to all.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Happy
time with your
holidays,
family and
everyone.
friends.
you too.
See you next year. Yeah.
And
We
happy
need
New Year.
to vote to adjourn.
We are. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbara Iglesky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Passamano.
Yes.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone.
All right.
You too,
Everybody
Melissa.
take care. Be healthy.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.